welcome to part number 20 of the Minish Cap playthrough. Now, if you remember in the last video, we went through a boss door, and normally when we go through a boss door, we go to a boss. But not in this temple, oh no! Instead, we go to a mini-boss, which was just a Dark Nut. He was really easy to defeat. If you have the remote bombs, you can just place down a bomb really quickly, blow it up instantly, and he should fall off the stage, which I think is really funny. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I think it's pretty funny. And once you defeat him, you move on to the second part of the temple, which is less focused on platforming and more focused on puzzles. It's the more traditional temple style, and it's okay. I kind of wish it was a little bit more linear, but it's not the worst thing ever. You won't really need a guide for this, so keep that in mind. So I don't have that much time before the boss, but I wanted to cover the topic I mentioned in the last video. Now, if you remember in part number 18, I think it was, I talked about my Game Boy Advance memories. I talked about all the games I played as a kid and all of that. So I'm going to do the same thing in this video, except with Sega Consoles. Now I'm going to bundle all of the Sega Consoles into one video, simply because I've never actually owned a Sega Console. But growing up, my cousins and my neighbors did, so that's where I got to play them. Now, my first experience with a Sega console was the Genesis, and the game was none other than Sonic the Hedgehog. And when I first played it, I instantly fell in love with it. I absolutely loved the game. I thought it was amazing, and I wished, back in the day, I wish there was a Super Nintendo version so I could go buy it, but I didn't realize that it was like a Sega mascot thing at the time. And I absolutely loved the game. I thought it was great. I had a little trouble with Marble Zone the first time I played it. Now that I think about it, I had a lot of trouble with Marble Zone. But I still had so much fun playing the game. I remember the first time I beat it, it was so much fun. Of course, I had my cousin there to help me out because he owned the game and had beaten it plenty of times, so he kind of told me what to do and things like that, but I don't know, I just had a blast with it. And then afterwards I played Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and that was even better than the first one. I loved that game. Unfortunately, I never got to play Sonic 3 as a kid, and that is actually one of my favorite Sonic games now. Sonic 3 and Knuckles, it's a great game. I never got to play it as a kid, so I don't really have that nostalgia for it. But playing it now, it's a really great game. I didn't really play that many other Genesis games. I did play a few rounds of Mortal Kombat as a kid, but I never really was into the fighting games. I mean, I kind of enjoyed them, like, occasionally. I had more fun with them at the arcades, just because of the, I don't know, the experience. It just felt more, it felt better there. So I didn't really enjoy console fighters, but I played some Mortal Kombat. I can't remember if it was the first one or the second one. I don't really know. And I may have played some other games, but I just don't remember them. None of them really left a lasting impression on me. Only Sonic the Hedgehog, and I still love Sonic. It's just, it's so fun. There's no other word to describe it. It's just fun, and I love it for that. Now, later on, I played the Dreamcast, and I have a lot of fond memories with games on the Dreamcast. That is how I was introduced to a game called Phantasy Star Online, and that is a fantastic game. I was also introduced to Crazy Taxi by the Dreamcast, and if you haven't played Crazy Taxi, go play it. It is the funnest, did I say funnest? It is the best driving game ever. It is so much fun, and I believe it is available on, like, Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, I think. I don't know, someone go check for me and tell me, but it's such a fun game. And I remember that one time I found a Crazy Taxi arcade machine, and that was great. I love Crazy Taxi. Anyone who's played Crazy Taxi knows how much fun that game is. And if you don't like Crazy Taxi, then I don't like you. Not really, but Crazy Taxi was so much fun. I remember competing with some of my friends for the best score, and just seeing all the crazy stuff we could do, because in Crazy Taxi, you are rewarded for doing just crazy driving things. Like if you run into, if you pass a car really closely, you get points, or not points, you get money, because your passengers will actually tip you based on how dangerous you drive. It's a really strange game, and it's not at all realistic, but it's a lot of fun. Now, the Dreamcast is also where I was introduced to Sonic Adventure, and I gotta say, Sonic Adventure is so much fun. I never actually played Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast. I actually had to wait until it came out on the GameCube. But Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, those are great Sonic games as well. I mean, that's really just the pinnacle of 3D Sonic games, Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2. Afterwards, it kind of started to go downhill, at least until we hit Sonic Unleashed. I mean, everyone says Sonic Unleashed is a terrible game, or just all the reviewers say it's a terrible game, and I disagree. I think only half of the game is terrible. The Werehog sections are just, I don't understand why they were put in the game. They're horrible. But the daytime stages, those are great. Those are wonderful. I don't see how anyone could complain about those. They're just a lot of fun. And then, of course, Sonic Generations, which, that game is just great. I mean, it's just great. Go buy that game, seriously. If you're a Sonic fan at all, you owe it to yourself to go buy Sonic Generations. It's just a great game for any type of Sonic fan. And that pretty much sums up my Sega memories. Mostly Sonic the Hedgehog with a few other games. I never have even seen a Sega Game Gear or any other Sega consoles. Like, I only played the Genesis and the Dreamcast. Everything else I just didn't play. I didn't play the Sega Master System. Like, I don't even know anybody that owns a Sega Master System. I don't think anyone does, but maybe there's someone out there that does. And maybe someone out there that's watching has a Game Gear, but I don't know anything about those systems, so you would have to tell me about those. Anyways, we are now moving on to our boss, and there we saw a second boss door, which that's 2 boss doors and 1 temple. I don't know, who cares? Anyways, the boss for this temple is really unique. Basically, you are on top of the boss at all times. Now, there's 2 parts to this fight. There is the red boss and the blue boss. I don't know what to call these things. There's a name for the animal that it looks like. I just can't think of it right now. I don't know. I'm spacing out. Let's just call them the red one and the blue one. So with the red one, you have to use your copy ability to hit the 3 eyes, and then all of the eyes will appear and you have to hit them all, and that's basically how you damage the boss. And the blue guys, all you have to do is survive, I think. I don't think you have to do anything else. But once you jump on their backs, they'll spin their tail around, and then they'll try to shoot some other things at you. The red boss is the main part of the fight. And after you go through 1 cycle, the blue, is it called Manta Ray? I don't remember. The blue boss will come and try to hurt you while you're hurting the boss. It'll shoot these energy balls at you. So you gotta watch out for those. Keep in mind that if they do hit your copy, any one of your copies, they will all go away, so keep that in mind. But it's not, this boss isn't too hard. I believe if you fall, you just respawn, so there's no danger of like falling to your death or something like that. So don't worry about that. It's not like if you fall, you get a game over. No, it's nothing like that. But it can be a tricky boss, especially your first time playing, just because dodging the blue manta ray will get kind of frustrating, simply because it feels like you don't have enough space to maneuver in, especially when you have all of your copies out, because it's just your copies take up so much room, and with all these energy balls flying around, it can be difficult to dodge everything that's coming at you. But it's, you really shouldn't have too much trouble here. I don't think you're gonna die here your first time playing. At least I didn't. And maybe if you're doing a 3-heart run or something, you'll die, but otherwise, you should be okay. It's not the most difficult boss ever, and I certainly think the... no, I'm gonna say this is the hardest boss so far. Now, without question, the hardest boss is the final boss, which it should be. It is the final boss, but... yeah, I guess this is the hardest boss, besides the final boss. This game, it seems to get difficulty right, and, the game gets progressively difficult as you go along. I don't really think there's any difficulty spikes here. There's nothing that it just starts out really easy and then it gets incredibly hard. I think this game works really well in terms of difficulty. It just seems to get progressively harder in a pretty a stable pace. Like, it's not too bad. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe someone out there thinks this is a brutally hard game, but I certainly do not. Anyways, now we have the wind element, and with that, we have all of the elements. So, we can finally restore the Pickery Blade to its former glory. Although it doesn't really transform back into the Pickery Blade, but we'll get to that in this part. Maybe? I don't remember. I really don't. So I think you have to go back and talk to the Elder again, I think? I don't remember. Or maybe you don't. No, I think you can just head back to the Sanctuary of Elements. Although, I'm pretty sure in the next part I do some side missions before I go back. I haven't watched all of the footage yet. I do my playthroughs in a way where I load up the video, I do a commentary over it, and I usually take the first take unless I really didn't like the commentary. But most of the time, you're hearing my first take at the video, simply because I don't really care. I don't really care that much. I mean, these playthrough videos, they don't mean that much to me. So I usually just take the first try, unless it just goes terribly, which happens sometimes. Sometimes I'm just not in that commentating mood, and I make a terrible video, and I can tell when I make an absolutely terrible video. And if that happens, I redo it, for the most part. If you go back to some of the Tingle Brothers, they will have a second Kinstone Fusion, so keep that in mind. Oh, I think here we actually finish off the Goron side quest and get the final bottle, if I remember correctly. Because in order to get to this cave right here, we need Rock's Cape. So I think the last mysterious wall is in here. Although I can't remember off the top of my head. I really can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Kind of. Inside this cave, there are a lot of hidden goodies. There's kinstone pieces, rupees, mysterious shells. And I still haven't talked about those mysterious shells, have I? Basically, those shells, they have to do with a side quest. As I mentioned before, I'm not going to show off that side quest until the final video, the extra video. So, just keep in mind that those mysterious shells are for a side quest. And it's an interesting side quest, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's interesting. Yeah. Interesting, but tedious. I'll say that. So yeah, we just finished off the Goron side quest. And with that, they will break down the final wall. And at the end of the cave, there is a bottle. So make sure you go collect that. This is certainly the hardest bottle to get. You have to go through all of these caves and fuse with these mysterious walls. The first 3 bottles were not hard at all. We just had to do some kinstone fusions and then we got 3 bottles. I mean, it was that easy. But not the final bottle. I guess they figured getting a 4th bottle would be... I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why they decided to make this side quest so long. I would understand if the reward was something really good, but it's not. It's just a bottle. It's really not that useful. It's really not, but whatever. Doesn't bother me too much. So I think in the next video, we do some side missions. I can't exactly remember, but if I remember correctly, we do a few side missions, and then in the video after that, we restore the Pickery Blade and move on to the final temple? I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, at the end of the cave, there's the empty bottle. And with one of the Gorons, you can fuse with it. I think it's the last one. Or, no, okay, never mind. There is a fusion with one of the Gorons, but you can't do it until after you complete the game. You'll see why later on, but... anyways, in part number 21, we're gonna do some more stuff. I really don't know, so I'll see you then.